Starr, the new president of Connecticut Community Care, and it's my great honor to greet each of you. We are so pleased that over 200 people have joined us this evening. Now, as long as I can remember, and as those photos show, each year we'd gather in fellowship at the AquaTurf for the CCC annual meeting. And Molly Reese-Gavin, socially distanced straight ahead, would always bring us to a place of purpose and with her passion and humility. This year's meeting, with Molly as our guest of honor, promises to be no different. Now, I may be new to CCC, but throughout my 26-year career, I've had many points of intersection with CCC and his leadership. At the state capitol, across state departments, within communities, on various councils, commissions, action networks, task force. Wherever there was a proposed policy or program or initiative or budget matter that would impact older adults and people with disabilities, CCC shows up and can be counted on to be balanced and respected, collaborative, and forward-thinking. And that is what drew me here today. So at this time, I want to thank you again for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the program as we celebrate the past and boldly move forward together. And now I'd like to introduce you to our brilliant board chair, Kim Kalajanan, who will officially kick off our meeting.
Good evening and welcome to Connecticut Community Care's annual meeting. It is my honor and privilege to provide the opening remarks for this year's event. When history looks back on 2020, it is unlikely that it will be a kind and flattering review. 2020 has been occupied by a health crisis that quickly became a global pandemic, unemployment rates surpassing the Great Depression, and epic challenges to basic human rights all over the world and right here at home. In early 2020, life as we knew it came to a screeching halt. It is as if time has been suspended and we all wait for life to start again. Despite this backdrop of doom, 2020 has been a year of reverence at Connecticut Community Care. Perhaps some of you are struck by my use of the word reverence, as it is not a commonly used word in today's vocabulary. My selection of the word reverence is because I know it to be one of the 6 organizational values at St. Mary's Hospital, and I believe it to be the perfect word for what has transpired at Connecticut Community Care in 2020. Reverence is a feeling or attitude of deep respect, tinged with awe. Reverence involves a humbling of the self in respectful recognition of something perceived to be greater than the self. There is nothing like a global health crisis to move people to reverence as we reflect on the healthcare providers that were and continue to be on the front lines of the pandemic, and also for those supporting cast members, many of whom are our colleagues at Connecticut Community Care, providing case management services to our clients that have a deep desire to remain in their home of choice. Yes, this is reverence, respectful recognition of something greater than oneself. At this time, I would like us to pause for a moment of silence for all older adults and those of all ages with disabilities who have lost their lives recently, whether due to the pandemic or otherwise. There is also significant reverence for the leadership transitions that have occurred at Connecticut Community Care in 2020. For those of you who may not be aware, let me catch you up. Joe Consorti, our longtime Chief Financial Officer, retired in February after smoothly transitioning to Lena Irizarry, who Joe had mentored and coached for several years. Molly Reese-Gavin, our longtime president, is retiring at the end of this month. And Julia Evans Starr, selected as Molly's successor and commenced her leadership in August. I know I can speak on behalf of the entire board of directors in stating that we have great reverence for these amazing and accomplished leaders. We have deep respect, tinged with awe, for the legacy that Joe and Molly are leaving. We are humbled by Joe and Molly's accomplishments over their decades of service and recognize that their dedication was selfless and the individual talents that they each shared with this organization have made Connecticut Community Care what it is today. In Julie's case, we have deep respect and confidence in the future she will create for the organization. We selected Julie for her knowledge, experience, skills, and talent, confident she will use all of it to marshal Connecticut Community Care into a new future filled with light, hope, and positivity. Now, I need to steal a few more minutes to bestow my personal reverence to our beloved Molly Reese-Gavin. I had the opportunity at the end of August to steal away for an outdoor, socially distanced lunch with Molly. Not only was the food at Cava's delicious, but the conversation and camaraderie were by far the most uplifting experience for me in 2020. During our time together, Molly walked me through the highlights of Connecticut Community Care's 40-year history, most of which was not in the board orientation. Hint, hint, Julie. And as we were getting ready to depart, I asked one final question of Molly. What was it that enabled you to stay at CCC for 40 years and serve as its president for so many of those years? Molly's response was as if she had memorized it, like it was her personal code of conduct, something so ingrained into her being that I knew I had to write fast and share it tonight. So here goes. Believe in the mission of the organization. Focus on engaging people. Be willing to play in their sandbox and make sure to invite them to your party. Be inspirational even on the tough days. Be consistent. Never let it show. Inspire others by showing them how to succeed. Make the personal connections and be authentic. Ladies and gentlemen, someone call the Harvard Business Review as we have next month's article available. Molly, thank you for this final professional gift to me and to everyone who watches this virtual meeting. It is now my pleasure to introduce our outgoing president and guest of honor, Molly Reese-Gavin.
Thank you so much, Kim. We appreciate your comments. Before I introduce Michael Quinn, I have a couple of things that I promised my colleague Diane Edwards I would share with you. The first is that I wanted to pay tribute to the people who are in the two pictures that are on each side of Kim and will be on each side of Michael. The woman, Sadie, and the man, Harold. And I want to tell you that in 1976, Gail Kataja and I did the first assessment of Sadie and her husband, Bill, for our home care program, and shortly after, did an assessment for Hal. We had a wonderful Connecticut Community Care employee who was a gifted photographer, Alice Leviston, and she took these two photos. And we decided that it was in everybody's interests for us to display those photos flanking Kim and Michael. The other thing I just wanted to tell you quickly is that while the COVID pandemic has changed this meeting in many different ways, one of the positive things to share is the tremendous distance that some of you have come to attend this annual meeting. We have folks who are from California, people from Colorado, folks from Washington, D.C., people from Massachusetts, and maybe some of you that I don't even know your distant location. So thank you very much for joining us. It is a great privilege for me to introduce to you Michael Quinn. Michael is the incoming chair of the Connecticut Community Care Board of Directors. In his professional life, Michael is the principal for Workplace Cornerstone Associates, where he assists corporations all over the United States to achieve greater operational efficiencies. So it is a pleasure and a privilege to introduce to you Michael Quinn.
Thank you, Molly. 2020 has been a significantly challenging year, as Kim and Molly noted. For the next few minutes, I want to extol the impact Molly has had on Connecticut Community Care and on all of us who have had the pleasure of being a part of CCC's care of well over 100,000 clients since 1980, and with the last 20 plus years under Molly's leadership. Molly, along with Joe Consorti, who retired earlier this year, were in the 1-2 roles when I joined the board in 2002. CCC was well run then, and has since continued to be well run. There have been many very significant challenges during these past 20 years, each one very capably met by Molly and the CCC team. Molly would tell us it's the people of CCC who make the difference. That's indeed true. Let's look at the people who make Connecticut Community Care what it is. Each team member is committed, caring, attentive, and focused on CCC's most important mission and asset, our clients. Underpinning this state of the CCC team has been Molly's ability to consistently guide, lead, and coach the team to be what it has been and is today, exemplary. So yes, it's the people with an exemplary leader. Molly's executive team in turn has led and coached CCC as well, role modeling leadership, commitment, and trust building. From a stakeholder view, Molly has had an indispensable role developing long-lasting relationship with CCC stakeholders, most obviously with our clients, as well as with our close partners that include, but are not limited to, the service providers, DSS, and industry colleagues. And one more, perennially, Connecticut Community Care is acknowledged to be among the best places to work in Connecticut, an outcome of a well-led and committed team. All in, I want to thank Molly Reese-Gavin for 40 years of exemplary leadership and service to CCC, our clients, and to our stakeholders. Molly has given her heart and soul to Connecticut Community Care, its clients, and communities. A few decades back, I read and remembered a Salada tea bag tagline: the difference between luck and ability, duration. Thank you, Molly. Quite a legacy, truly. At this transition point, I'm pleased and proud knowing our organization has been in the best of hands. Julie Evans Starr now has the reins of stewardship and is leading Connecticut Community Care through our current challenges and future opportunities. Coronavirus was not in our strategic plan 1 year ago. This challenge now undermines most, if not all, of our planned endeavors that ultimately serve our clients. Under this contagion and its distancing constraints, CCC continues to move forward, providing superb client services, including profound respect for our clients' self-determination, greater use of technology to benefit our clients, seamless data compilation and evaluation, as well as continued strong community and stakeholder communications. My confidence level that our future under Julie's leadership will equally be in the best of hands. Many thanks to each of you for being with us today at Connecticut Community Care's annual and virtual meeting. We are very pleased to welcome those of you that have been with us for decades, as well as those of you who are more recent to the CCC family. And now, back to Molly.
Thank you so very much, Michael, for your very kind words. I just want to let all of you know that while Michael was speaking, and before that, many of you were signing in on the chat room, and I wanted to let you know that we have a guest who just joined us from Pakistan. So our sphere of influence is getting broader. Well, as I approach my waning day, one more day, at Connecticut Community Care, I want to tell you a little story about my freshman year in college. I went to the University of St. Joseph, which at the time was St. Joseph College. And in my freshman year, the first day in September 1967, the sisters shepherded the incoming freshman class into the auditorium and proceeded to pass out little index cards to all of the prospective students. And then one of the sisters got up on the stage and began to write on the blackboard what they wanted us to write on the index cards. I aced the first card. I needed to know my name, my address, my telephone number, my birth date, and my parents' names. Whew. I started to run into trouble on the second card, where the sisters wanted us to put what we thought was going to be our undergraduate major. So I proudly got out my pen, I put the big capital P. I got a little hesitant with the S, and by the time I got to Y's and CH's and any other combination of letters, I realized that I didn't know how to spell psychology. I want you to know I was as practical at the age of 17 as I am today at 70, and I said to myself, Molly, you can't major in something that you can't spell. So I promptly ripped up the index card, wrote the word sociology in big letters, and the rest is history. Now, I know all of you are sitting there saying, why did she tell that story tonight? Because I wanted to make a connection with Margaret Mead, the famed anthropologist and sociologist who I came to know of as a result of my sociology major. She was my muse, my source of inspiration. I wanted to be like her when I grew up. Many of you already know Margaret Mead's famous quotation, which has been on a card in my office for the last 25 years. But allow me to recite it for you. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever does. So in the beginning of the home care project, there were two of us in the Hartford office, Gail Kataja and myself. We had been hired by the North Central Area Agency on Aging to work on the newly state and federally funded home care program. I think we had a 1-week orientation provided by the Department on Aging. We got a little notebook that had information about do's and don'ts and certain details about the program. We got a list of potential clients, and we got the names of 5 provider agencies. And some of you who have been around for a long time might be interested in those agencies. There were Hartford Visiting Nurse Association, Glastonbury Visiting Nurse Association, Windsor Locks Visiting Nurse Association. And those 3 agencies provided nursing service, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and home health aid services. Family Service Society down on Trumbull Street in Hartford provided homemaker, companion, chore, and home delivered meals. And Avery Daycare in Hartford was the first adult daycare facility. And I want to tell you that Gail and I were going to change the world. It's probably important perspective to tell you that 10 years before that, in 1966, our federal government passed the Medicare and Medicaid legislation, which provided funding for individuals to be cared for in skilled nursing facilities. And so in our country, there was a dramatic increase in the number of skilled nursing facility beds in 1 decade, from the 50s to the 60s, from over 200,000 beds to well over 800,000 beds. And all Gail and I wanted to do was to allow elders to live where they wanted to live on their own terms. Let me assure you that all the naysayers said it wouldn't last, that it was a wasteful, duplicative model, and that all the money that was going to our organization should be divided up among all the direct service providers so they could purchase their own direct services. Gail and I were offered a 10-month contract from August 15th, 1976 through June 30, 1977, because everyone thought we were never going to make it. So we clutched one another's hands, and hand in hand, we persevered for 4 years, and then the winds of change started to blow. Connecticut wanted to be the first state in the Union to license home care services. And enlightened administrators at our Connecticut state agencies, our nonprofits, and our corporate leaders decided that the best thing to do was to take the 5 fledgling projects, we were one of them, there were 4 others, in South Central, in Southwest, in Northwest and Eastern Connecticut, as well as North Central, and to combine those 5 projects into one organization. And Connecticut Community Care was incorporated July 1st, 1980, 40 years ago. Now, more naysayers joined the fracas, including the area agencies on aging. And providers and other players stridently testified before the Connecticut General Assembly, protesting the model year after year as CCCI families came forward and spoke on our behalf. But we hung in there together, and we kept growing and growing and growing and adding more provider organizations, and the service array began to expand. Then in the mid-1980s, and many of you may remember this, our state welfare department became the Department of Income Maintenance. The acronym was DIM, probably not the best acronym for a state agency, but nonetheless, it was under the DIM department that Connecticut started its nursing home pre-screening programs. Now there was another whole group of naysayers, hospitals, nursing homes, but we hung in together and we knew that we had our work cut out for us. Well, by now, I have the feeling that you're sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, we're up to the mid-1980s and she has 35 more years to take us through. Not so. You get the point. We endured the worst of times. We lost state contract awards. We had to dismiss outstanding staff and say goodbye to beloved clients and their families. We persevered. We endured the death of many CCCI colleagues and friends. And I'm only going to acknowledge 2 of them here this evening because sadly, the list is way too long. So on behalf of all of our departed CCCI colleagues, I'd like to honor Joan Quinn, our beloved founder and first president, and Myra Kerr, our pioneering quality improvement director. And today we're doing our utmost to manage the challenges and the losses of COVID-19. So yes, we had difficult times, but we had good times, the best of times. Proud moments when we were selected by the nonprofit Times as the #1 mid-size nonprofit organization in the United States of America. And then year after year, we were selected as one of the top employers in Connecticut. And at one point, we were one of 2 organizations in Connecticut. The other was Yale New Haven Hospital, to be awarded a highly competitive Medicare Medicaid grant, an innovation grant, and we outlasted Yale by a whole year in that demonstration. Of course, we take tremendous pride in our state programs, including the Connecticut Home Care Program, the Acquired Brain Injury Waiver, Personal Care Attendant, Community First Choice, and Money Follows the Person. The tradition, the legacy continues. Just this year, we received a virtually unprecedented multi-year award from the Tufts Healthcare Foundation. We've celebrated personal celebrations, including weddings and graduations, babies, grandchildren, and now even retirements. Many of you already know the analogy regarding the wild geese who miraculously travel thousands of miles each spring and fall on their seasonal migration. Here's the story in a nutshell. First of all, for the most part, the flock sticks together in an efficient formation. And off they go. And sometimes the leader comes to the realization that he or she shouldn't be leading anymore and begins to drop back. And it seems as if out of nowhere, a new leader emerges and rapidly flies to the front of the flock. And the flock doesn't miss a beat. That's what's happening at Connecticut Community Care right now. Julie Evans Starr, our new president, and our inspired leadership team of Kevin Dione, Diane Edwards, Jessica Hughes, Lena Irizarry, Gail Kataja, Krista Morrow, Carol O'Regan, and Sherry Austrout, and our intrepid organizer par excellence, Deb Farslow, will keep the flock headed in the right direction and continue our mission and vision for decades to come. Thank you for the role each and every one of you have played in our remarkable journey. Now back to you, Julie.
Thank you, Molly, for that warm welcome to the flock. Earlier, you heard our eloquent, outgoing chair, Kim, quote Molly about what enabled her to stay at CCC for 40 years and to lead for so many. Among Molly's list of answers was the opportunity to inspire others by showing them how to succeed. That's what exceptional leaders do. They build others up. And you know it's true. Regardless of how extraordinary or magnanimous or eloquent a leader is, Molly would be the first to tell you that leadership isn't really about the leader. It's about how effective you are at empowering other people. And above all else, making sure this impact endures even in your absence. And it's that unrelenting focus on impact and endurance that's brought us here today. We at CCC are strong. 40 forward. I love that theme. Now, with organizational pride, I'm happy to be among you as CCC's third only president. Wow. This is a big moment for CCC. As one can imagine, when an organization celebrates the retirement of a legacy leader and a founder before her, and onboards a new leader, it's layered with conflicting emotions, sadness, joy, excitement, uncertainty. And I'm here to say I feel it too. I really do. But CCC is solid. And as Molly explained, we have a very deep bench. Michael Quinn and our committed board of directors, our corporators, our talented leadership team, and our hardworking staff of close to 300 people, they embrace the challenges of today as robustly as they honor and leverage the rich history and trailblazing experiences of yesterday. And all of this, CCC's past, present, and future, is grounded in one thing. That's our mission: to identify choices and provide services to help people of all ages, abilities, and incomes live at home and with a quality life. Now, since our leadership transition began about a month ago, I've been on an introductory tour. I've virtually met with several CCC departments and teams across the state. This morning, I met with the Community First Choice team. I have been struck by many things, but longevity of countless staff really has struck me. Not only has Molly been here for 40 years, Gail Kataja, Debbie Farslow, and I actually met Joya. She's a care manager. She's been a care manager with CCC for 36 years. Can you imagine how rich in talent and experience she is? At the same time, we're welcoming a lot of new employees who, like me, are eager to make a difference and are full of possibility and perspective. We welcome their fresh ideas. Overall, what I see is CCC staff has a deep reverence, to borrow Kim's word, for every client whose well-being is at our highest priority. Now, I've also had the experience already of being able to speak with clients and their family members directly. Perhaps one of the best things about this job. They are exceedingly grateful for the ongoing care management and nursing home transition assistance CCC provides. It's like a lifeline, someone told me, especially now. I got a voicemail forwarded to me from an adult son of one of our clients who said he couldn't be happier with the way the care manager treated him. Or the client who shared his artwork along with a thank you note to his CCC care manager. Now, I know with COVID, I haven't had the opportunity in this role to meet the clients directly. However, I had the very good fortune of working with Molly and another luminary in Connecticut, Judy Stein. And on this project, I did have the opportunity to meet several clients who welcomed me into their homes. And for some, I was able to sit by their bedside and listen to their stories. People are so extraordinary, it's humbling. Now, how fortunate are we to make a difference in people's lives, often at highly personal and very tough times? And very tough times we are certainly in. Clearly, the pandemic has presented us all with a uniquely challenging period, but especially for those who we collectively serve and support, all of whom have underlying health conditions, are older, or have disabilities. And with even more devastation impacting our Black and Latinx people and communities that continue to bear the brunt of inequity. Now, it's true, unprecedented times demand taking a breath. I'm going to take one now. But it also requires bold measures and actions. We at CCC pride ourselves in being bold, and we recognize the profound and lasting impact of COVID-19, as well as the changing landscape of health and social services. That's why we're exceedingly grateful for the adaptability of the CCC community, the remarkable leadership and transparency from our colleagues in state government, the resiliency and the commitment of a vast network of providers and unpaid caregivers of family and friends. Now, I have the good fortune to say that I have some good news to share. This week, the National Committee of Quality Assurance, NCQA, awarded CCC accreditation for 3 years. It's its highest honor, so we should take time to celebrate. Looking ahead, you can count on CCC to take bold action, to advance a vision of equity and do the hard work to be ever more accessible and relevant to the people and communities we serve. We want to maximize our data capabilities. Michael Quinn shared a little bit about that. Also, we want to leverage technology to work smarter and increase our personal connection with our clients and their supporters. At the top of our list, We want to do our part to combat social isolation, which is very real right about now. And of course, to respond to the ever-growing demand of quality home and community-based services and to support families across all ages, incomes, and abilities. And finally, we want to continue to be a leader and a trusted collaborator as we work to reshape our communities as great places to grow up and grow old. Communities that are inclusive and accessible and dynamic. For us to achieve our bold vision, and it is bold, and to help clients meet their basic needs, we count on partnership with the state, with philanthropy, with our donors, both longtime contributors and those who are new. And we're really grateful for your support. I learned something about how your contributions make a difference. They dramatically and directly impact the quality of life of older adults and people with disabilities, and it ladders up to our overall accomplishments and progress for the year. During this past year alone, many clients have benefited from your generosity. I'm just going to name a few. So we have Margaret, who is a client of ours, who no longer has to sleep on the couch with the purchase of a new mattress, a mattress cover, and bedding. Or Willie, whose ceiling lift can now lift him out of bed during a power outage. Or Lorraine, who was able to purchase containers to better organize her belongings. And just today, we're helping Joan get hot water. I say we, but it's really you. You helped make all this happen, so thank you. At this time, I'd like to come up for air if I could and show you a video that takes us back through our 40-year history.
It was less than 2 weeks ago that I was at Danbury Hospital, where we announced that we had our first person who was found to be infected with COVID-19.
Hello. I just received 2 shopping bags of food, and it was like Christmas because I'm 89 and I can't get out. I was down to eating toast and butter. Thank you very much for sending me that food. I still can't believe it.
welcome back. We hope you loved that video. I know the first time I watched it, I got chills. We thought, we're improvising here, but what better way than to bring Molly up and for us to close this together. But first, we've had a lot of fun that you perhaps haven't seen. That is reading your chat comments. And so we posed a question to you. What does 40 Forward mean to you as a member of our CCC community? Okay, so they've been rolling in. First of all, we had a shout out from Judy Stein, Susan Raimondo, Katie O'Leary, Mike Starkowski. They're just rolling in, which is so much fun. But to that prompt and question, 40 Forward means using new technology to keep families and friends together, said Hannah. Absolutely right.
40/40 is staying committed to the health of all individuals. And that's also from Hannah.
Okay. Oh, Molly. Molly's legacy will carry 40 forward. That's beautiful from Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. Here's another one. 40 Forward means providing care that respects all identities. That respects all identities. Karen Burr sent that in.
40 years of caring for Connecticut. So true.
44 years of more exceptional programs, from Jeannie Wazalewski.
Okay, I think we're going to have fun with these for a while as they roll in. And hopefully we're cataloging them and we'll be able to respond in some way, I'm hoping. Yes. Yeah, I'm hearing yes, so that's wonderful. So I'm looking for one final one. Did we say 40 more years of empowering those most at risk in our communities? Empowerment is so very important. Okay, with that, Molly, I think we're coming to a close.
We are, Joy.
Should we wrap up?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so first of all, we want to thank you for your time. We know that we were sad that we weren't able to be in front of Eggplant Parmesan and be together at the AquaTurf as we typically always have. But we feel your spirit. We feel your spirit in this room. You're lifting us up. And I just want to, again, thank you for your time. We wish you well. We will count on your continued support throughout this important 40th year. And, our plan is to boldly move forward together. Stay in touch.
Thank you.